Martha's Vineyard is a small island off the coast of Massachusetts, really well known for its summer tourism, and more so lesser known for its year-round, small but vibrant community. My name is Jack Yuen. I was born and raised on the island of Nopi, which is the ancestral land of the Wampanoag Nation, nowadays referred to as Martha's Vineyard. I was living on the island after college, but now I'm sort of an example of the effects of the housing crisis that we're facing nationwide.
An insatiable demand in the housing market right now, causing millions of Americans are priced out of buying a home.
There's so much focus on the new that they bear way out of percentage what the price tag should actually be.
Especially in places like Martha's Vineyard, where new homes are being bought up, second homes are being created, and the rise of Airbnbs have made it very difficult to have affordable housing. And so unfortunately many locals are sort of forced to leave the island, and that's what brings me to Providence. Yeah, it's an interesting situation to, have the body of your work be, focused around a place that you're not actually living in. Well, growing up in the island, I grew up in a very small apartment, actually, above a barn. So I was kind of an interesting environment growing up. Very small apartment, the family of 5. I spent a lot of time outdoors. The biggest things were actually the smallest things, I would say. So all of these small little discoveries that you'd find when you're out in the woods, flipping over logs and finding salamanders, or going down by the coastline and finding all of these really interesting ecosystems of these tiny fish with like amazing details and markings, and just realizing that there's a whole world that just kind of goes unnoticed for the most part. As a young kid, I would be, flipping through all of these animal encyclopedias and just being amazed by the diversity of species, and that's when I really fell into drawing as well, because seeing all these scientific illustrations really inspired me to start picking up drawing, and I would be looking through these books and practicing myself. So I was always really into drawing, mostly just graphite pencil and kind of just these black and white sort of realistic drawings. But it wasn't until I took a trip to London when I was about 15 with my family and there was a whole section of the city that was just devoted to street art and graffiti. And that really kind of opened my eyes to the possibilities of painting with bold colors. Creating art to really send a message. Another thing that I really value about the community on the island is, our appreciation for our natural spaces, and really putting an emphasis on being a good steward to the land and environment around you. I absolutely love foraging because it really kind of brings me into a present moment. When you're going out and seeking for some of these wild edibles, it's just also a ton of fun. It can be very surprising at times. Sometimes you kind of know what you're looking for, and sometimes things will pop up, and it's almost like a Easter egg hunt. It's kind of brings you back to this kind of childlike wonder of going around and making these small discoveries. And I think it's also just a really beautiful way of connecting to the land around you. Knowing how the land can sustain you as a food source really kind of deepens your respect and your appreciation for the land around you. What's great about foraging is that it engages the sense of taste. So a lot of times when we're out in the wilderness, our senses of sight and hearing and smelling, those are all engaged and those are very obvious. But foraging allows you to bring in that sense of taste and trying different flavors almost of the landscape is something that's super fascinating. Yeah, so this mushroom here is called the beefsteak mushroom. It's a polypore, and it gets the name beefsteak because when you look in the inside of this flesh, it kind of resembles the marbling of a steak. Yeah, and so what's cool about this one is that, like I said, it's one of the few mushroom species you can actually eat raw. Yeah, so I'm interested in creating a body of work that sort of reflects some of these co-evolved relationships between, two or more native species. One example of that is the hickory tussock moth and the white hickory tree, where the hickory tussock moth has evolved to break down and consume the compounds within the hickory tree. And so if you remove this native tree, you also are at a loss of the caterpillar and the moth itself. I guess highlighting these native species is a way of almost like celebrating the character of the land that you're on. That's a good question. Sometimes it can be hard to say when a painting is done, but it's really just an intuitive feeling, I think. When you step back and you look over the whole piece and every part of the painting, you're okay with, then that's when I call it finished. even though living in a city is, the opposite environment from living in a natural space, it can really make you appreciate those natural spaces on a much more deeper level. Honing in a craft that is able to just express myself authentically and yeah, spread that message of what I'm passionate about, and hopefully it reaches other people who are passionate about it too.